Hey everyone, so I saw this post circulating and it piqued my interest. If you've been following for a while, you know that I have a highlight dedicated to all things not a space agency. NASA apparently signs this space agreement with Nikon, you know, the people that manufacture cameras and lenses. They've been around for a really long time. This agreement was signed February 29th of this year. And what's really interesting is that the very next day, Nikon discontinues their p1000 Coolpix model, which was the only mega zoom camera in the market. Their reasoning for the agreement that they signed is that they're going to outline how they will work together to develop a handheld camera that can operate in harsh lunar environments with this Artemis 3 thing that they're working on. So that's their excuse. So naturally, I and probably many of you want to look into this a little bit more, because one day later, this was taken off after an agreement was signed with NASA. So what was this camera capable of seeing? And there's tons of videos on YouTube, and the creators aren't actually saying what you know they're thinking, but many of them were able to get pretty decent quality images and video of the moon. People were able to now notice many discrepancies in the distances that we've been told, because you can see past the human eye's vanishing point. It suddenly became about perspective, distance, and just vanishing points at work. So oftentimes there was no curve to even go over in many of these videos captured. I mean, of course, you get to make your own informed decision on stuff like this. The p1000 was also able to zoom into celestial objects, stars, and reveal the true nature of them. Sony makes a cyber shot. Panasonic has a camera with a crazy zoom as well, but the most that those cameras can get to is 70 times. And what was significant about the Nikon p1000 is it got to 125 times. And, novices could use this and take video and keep the video going and just stream it and let people just use their eyes and come up with their own conclusions. There are videos where people couldn't find something that they should have been able to see up there, like flags and stuff. Maybe people would be more inclined to believe what this space agency put out there if they didn't openly admit that they use Photoshop. That Robert Simon guy, this is what his role is: to make imagery from Earth sciences data. I turn data into pictures. That is what you are seeing whenever they post images of space. Photoshopped pictures. Even their p900 was able to get this image of the sun versus the image that we were told the sun looks like, but it's CGI provided by the space agency that we give billions of dollars to every year. My whole thing is, why alter the image to begin with? Don't you have the most insane technology and high-tech telescope zoom cameras? Why can't you just snap it and then show people what you captured? Why all the CGI? Okay, I take that back. Even their technology has always been just a little bit questionable to me. So what are your thoughts on this? Coincidence? Anyway, I've got a camera to purchase. You guys believe what you want. Bye.
So if you want to laugh, this is Starlink right here. I found it with my Nikon 1000. There are balloons holding up satellites. So when people tell me we're going to space, here's my response. Here's Elon Musk. Remember that? When he was talking about we're going to Mars? With balloons?
are not a conspiracy theorist by now, let me tell you, if you are not a conspiracy theorist by now, it's because you are not intelligent.
I'm speechless. Yet I'm still talking, of course. Stunning! Stunning! Oh my God! Look at it! And they're telling you this is a mirage. Oh my God, I can't even... I'm sorry guys, I apologize for having a meltdown, but this is stunning. Check this out, check this out. Towers of Key Biscayne. I'm gonna zoom out real quick. And just... Well, you got to see it right there with me, pretty much at the same time. Holy shit.
Okay guys, so real quick, let me go ahead and put things a little more into perspective here. So we are on, of course, the globe model provided by Google Earth, and we zoom into the location. And this is it right here. This is Key Biscayne on the right. This is where the lighthouse is, and this is where I'm standing over here by Black Point, and standing around here. And as you can see down here, it tells you the distance between these 2 points, 13.75 miles. And as you can see, Cape Florida Lighthouse, according to Google, is 95 feet tall. So for everybody who's new to this, we'll go to the Flat Earth debunking website, metabunk.org. They have a curvature calculator at 13.75 miles away. 13.75 miles at 6 feet viewer height. The lighthouse should be hidden by 77 feet. If you take into account standard refraction, which is a joke, it's literally a rule of thumb, even then 63 feet should be hidden.
Hey Doc, this is it.
Is flat. That stuff is flat.
Hold on. So have you not heard that Nikon p1000 is discontinued? End of a compact mega zoom era? Now, if you haven't, okay, there's two lines of thought. One's very, very odd, and the other makes a lot more sense with a little critical thinking. Let's start with the odd one. So the first line of thought that I find, again, very odd is, well, of course Nikon's going to discontinue their mega zoom camera that's cutting edge, top of the line, absolute masterpiece. Of course they're going to. I mean, it makes them tons of money. Why wouldn't they, discontinue and stop making those cameras that's, so good and making them so much money? It makes any sense. Yeah, that's odd. That makes no sense whatsoever. Can we hear answer B, please? Now, the second answer makes way more sense. A little logic thinking is that over the last 5 to 7 years, the Nikon p900 and then the Nikon p1000 camera has been getting a lot of attention, primarily from the flat earth community, because this is what is known as the globe killer. We can now see far beyond the curve, the imaginary never before seen curve, and use observable, testable, repeatable, empirical evidence science to disprove that. Now that's a problem, right? That can't happen. But, I don't know, you guys tell me, maybe it's the first one.
type of angel described in Ezekiel 1 is even more bizarre. Meet the Ophanim. According to Medium, Ophanim comes from the Hebrew word for wheels. It's a fitting name because Ezekiel's vision suggests that some of God's angels are actually floating eye-covered wheels that sparkle like jewels. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. Their rims were high and awesome, and all four rims were full of eyes all around.
The book of the prophet Ezekiel. As for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright. And out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now as I beheld the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures with his four faces. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl. And they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. When they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. As for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them four. And when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the Spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels.
But the second type of angel described in Ezekiel 1 is even more bizarre. Meet the Ophanim. According to Medium, Ophanim comes from the Hebrew word for wheels. It's a fitting name because Ezekiel's vision suggests that some of God's angels are actually floating eye-covered wheels that sparkle like jewels. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. Their rims were high and awesome, and all four rims were full of eyes all around.
And the likeness of the firmament upon the heads of the living creature was as the color of the terrible crystal stretched forth over their heads above. And unto the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Every one had two which covered on this side, and every one had two which covered on that side their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings, like the noise of great waters, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. When they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and did let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness as the appearance of a man above upon it. And I saw as the color of amber, as the appearance of fire round about within it. From the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward, I saw as it were the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about. As the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel.
Did you know that NASA allegedly paid Nikon to apparently discontinue the Nikon p1000 just before the total solar eclipse of April of 2024? Now, I wonder why they would do that. Probably because the Nikon p1000 was called the Globe Buster, because you could use your 125x optical zoom to zoom in on ships that were like 30 miles away, that should be under hundreds of feet, sometimes even thousands of feet of curvature. But the Globe Buster completely dissolves that imaginary curve so that you can see so much further. But like really think about it, guys. If ships aren't actually disappearing below the horizon, well, what are they doing? They're not disappearing over a physical curvature. What's happening is all parallel lines from every single direction intersect into one focal point, which is just a representation of how our ocular nerves are perceiving light. So if you imagine the light as being all parallel lines intersecting into one focal point, and then it collapses upon itself and you can no longer see beyond it, that explains why it looks like a ship is going over the curvature, but it's actually just all collapsing until you can no longer see it. It just all collapses into nothing. So if you zoom in, it's still there, it's just that your eyes can only see so far. But of course, guys, this video was for entertainment purposes only, and NASA did not pay Nikon to do anything. Please stop reporting my videos. I love you all.